Good morning, everyone. My name is Desiree Ameigh, and I'm an English instructor at Wallace Community College in Eufaula, Alabama. The first question I'm seeking to answer in this short presentation is, what have I done differently over the past year in my ENG 101 classrooms? The three topics I'm going to cover are clear expectations and introductory letter, easy access to unit outcomes and objectives, and weekly central questions. Although I did give introductory letters to my students prior to a year ago, what I found was that over the past year, I've been adding in more specific details and specific information, like clear expectations in that introductory letter. So for example, I added a piece to the letter that included both expectations that my students can have for me, as well as what I can have for them. We use this as a baseline for our conversation to expand upon these expectations during our first meeting. Second, I provide easy access to unit outcomes and objectives, including program learning outcomes, course level student learning outcomes, and objectives that I list at the top of each of my unit folders on Blackboard. That way students can constantly be checking in with these outcomes and objectives. And my third and final point here is that I have added to my course schedule, as well as to the front matter on each of my weekly coursework and content folders, weekly central questions, that my students know exactly which questions they are seeking to answer based on whichever component of the class they are finishing. So for example, if you look on the screen right now, the example that I have here is that for our Monday lecture for my hybrid class, my students had 2 questions that they were seeking to answer by the end of the lecture. And on our class session where we met face-to-face, my students had 2 questions that we were seeking to answer. The next major topic that I'm covering is, what results did I get? And there are 3 main results that I want to address. First, I noticed that in my course evaluations, both in fall of 2020 as well as my more casual evaluations during the spring of 2021, there's a lot of positive feedback in the way of students saying things like, I like the structure of this class, or it's easy to follow along with. And because of that, students are much less frustrated. And I'm starting to see some other other positive things out of that lacking of frustration. So for example, my students' attendance has improved dramatically over the past year. And I think that a big part of that is me getting used to this new campus. I am a new instructor there. My students building trust in me. But I do think that these new structural elements to my Blackboard course, as well as the way that I'm running my class, they're helping me to build that trust with my students. And third, during the spring 2021 semester, I just passed back grades for our first major assignment. And with that major assignment, of my students who turned that assignment in, there was a 100% pass rate. Only 2 students did not turn in the assignment, and I saw a lot of really good progress by that way. So I'm excited to be tracking additional progress. Now, the last topic here are small changes that I've made to improve student learning. I do allow cell phones in my classroom. I've implemented review assignments. My students are turning in weekly gratitude assignments. And then finally, there's alignment between my objectives, my central questions, and then my feeder and major assessments in the class, which shows students that there is value to each item that we are completing for the class, and there is no filler work.